everyone. Today we are talking with Katie, who hates peas and loves salted caramel ice cream. She can do headstands on demand and once got pooped on while milking a cow. She has been ice climbing and wishes she was from Iceland. So today, Katie is sharing about Newfoundland.
So, welcome, Katie.
Hi, ladies. Thank you for having me.
Sure. So we're going to start the timer, 7 minutes, and I'm going to ask, so what makes Newfoundland so special to you?
I think the best part and why I love it so much is its wilderness. It's so rugged and wild, and you just really have freedom to roam when you're on the island. So that's really what makes it special to me.
Love that.
That's great. So what are some of the places you would take family and friends?
My favorite part of the island is definitely the Bay of Islands, which is south of Grossmore National Park and just out from Corner Brook. So it's on the west side of the island. And that was always a favorite place to take family and friends because it has a lot of geological diversity. So you can see the peridotite there, you can see the gabbro, you can see old volcanic island arc, and it's just where the ocean really meets the land. So that wildness I was talking about is really alive there with the wind and the waves, and just the little mountains are just coming right out of the ocean. It feels very almost Lord of the Rings-esque, so it's beautiful.
Very cool. So it sounds like the picturesque nature part of Newfoundland is what you really love. Is there a place that you love to go to take pictures or a view that you really particularly love to share?
That's a really hard question because there are so many incredible places all over the island. So if I was looking for like a scenery or landscape, typically that Bay of Islands area is kind of my go-to because you can get up pretty high on a trail there called 2-hour hike up, and you just have this incredible panoramic view. But if you're looking for something a little more very unique, then going up north to St. Anthony and going to Fishing Point and just walking along the trails there along the coast and get pictures of icebergs. That is something that makes Newfoundland very magical in the spring. And that's not something you get to see very many other places. Like to see icebergs, you'd have to go on the coast of Alaska or, really into the Arctic or Antarctic world, but you can come to Newfoundland and Labrador and simply be walking along the coastal trails on the northern edge of the island, and they're just passing by gracefully.
Oh, wow.
And they're
That's
beautiful to
amazing. Yeah.
That seems amazing. Yeah. Oh my gosh, incredible. So how do you connect with the locals? Are there towns there or restaurants or hangs for interacting with the locals?
Newfoundland is primarily all locals. It's not a major tourist destination, so that's a pretty easy thing to do. Every gas station you walk into, coffee shop, even just out hiking, you'll come across all kinds of people who live there. And the locals in Newfoundland are your typical Canadian East Coasters, right? So they are incredibly friendly, very warm, extremely hospitable. So I remember, some of my first encounters when I first moved there. I had, this is my first winter, and I had put my car into the snowbank right in town. And before I was even out of the car, there was 4 gentlemen who had come out from the nearby store, the guy who got out of the snowplow who had just passed, and another guy who came out of his house. And they were all around my car helping me get back on the road. And I was on my way again in under 5 minutes.
Oh, wow.
So they just come together and just help people out, because they've been such an isolated community connected place for so long that even if you're a stranger, they will just step in and help you. And nobody up there will go without a bed or without food, or if your car breaks down, you know, like they're just very there, and that community mindedness is there and still very intact. And I guess that's another, back to your first question, thing that makes Newfoundland very special.
Yeah, that's
That
beautiful.
would. That's beautiful.
I love that story.
I know, me too.
So maybe that leads us to the next question, which is what's something that surprised you about Newfoundland that you didn't expect, something that you were surprised to find out?
How much I would love the winter
Oh,
there, and how it wasn't actually that cold.
okay.
Cold, of course, is relative depending on where you're kind of used to being. So I grew up in Ontario, which is quite cold in the winter, down to -20, -30 for many, many weeks through January and February. And when I moved to Newfoundland, first of all, lots of snow. Excellent destination for skiing, snowshoeing, snowmobiling, any of those winter sports that you want to do. Like many, 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 many feet of snow, 10 plus actually, like regularly.
Oh, wow.
So fabulous that way. And because it's a coastal environment, it doesn't get really below like -15 is like super cold. The wind is howling. That's cold, cold. And it's often only 0, -5, which is very, very comfortable to be out skiing and snowshoeing and being out on your snowmobile. And the locals very much I was able to have there in the winter.
That's amazing.
Wow, that's incredible. So tell us about the food. We always ask about the food.
Yeah.
Sure. So I have mixed feelings about the food in Newfoundland. You can go into some restaurants out in St. John's and have an incredible experience. Even in inside Grossmore National Park, there's some really good restaurants where chefs have brought, you know, the local food. So, you know, caribou and moose and all the wild berries, and have really blended it together in a very modern spread on one end. And then on the other end, the local delicacy is deep fried everything.
Ooh.
So
which is very small town. Yeah.
Yeah, that's just any small town.
Yeah, that's pretty typical because it's fast and easy and just fried everything. Well, that was our timer. And Katie, that was beautiful. I've heard of great things in Newfoundland, but you made me fall in love with it even more. So thank you so much for sharing all that about it. And I'd love to hear more, but we only do 7 minutes. So that was it. So thanks for sharing your story. We have a new question and answer series where we're answering, April and I are answering your travel questions. So there's a link in the description below. So if you have questions for us or people you'd like to suggest that we interview as well, we'd love to hear all of that and travel with us through real stories from real people. Thanks, Katie.
Thanks, Katie.